It's been about a week since my first video in this series about my AI journey. I thought I'd give you an update. There's been a couple of new developments and some validation on a couple of different fronts, so I thought this would be a great time to record another video. One of the first things that has happened is I saw a video just recently by Liam Ottley, who is one of the founders of this AI automation agency kind of business model. And I think he's been doing it a couple of years, probably has done several $1,000,000 worth of business and really focused on doing the tech side of automation and AI tech services. And one of the things that he mentioned is that as the AI tools are getting better, there's actually more people able to do the automation for themselves. In fact, it's more of a DIY model in a lot of organizations and companies. And while it seems like it would pose a threat to his business, and in some ways it does, and he's making a shift, I'll talk about that in just a moment. But as the tools are getting better and more people are able to use them, they're now thinking of more ways to use the tools and more business cases for those, which in some ways will create more demand. It's the same thing as when the personal computer became more available to everyone. Now suddenly there's all these new use cases for it. Or when new software gets introduced, it seems like that software might take jobs away from people. One of the examples that Liam mentions is QuickBooks. So when QuickBooks became available, it seemed like accountants and bookkeepers might lose their jobs because all the accounting was being moved to the user, to folks who wanted to do it for themselves. But at the same time, all of those people in QuickBooks now suddenly started to have a need for more specialized services, or perhaps now they started to think about their finances differently, or they just needed somebody to help them maintain the system that they put in place and started to create. This has happened over and over again throughout history. He says the same in his video. So now how's it impacting his business, and how is it validating for this new direction that I'm taking with my business? Well, first of all, just because someone can put a system in doesn't mean that they have the right strategy in place or that they know all the ins and outs of how to use that system. And in the case of AI automation and using AI for your business processes, there's probably a case to be made for understanding business process improvement and how to map out a process and how to clean up a process before you even start to automate it. For me, this is validating to hear him say that, because that's the direction that Mike and I have already talked about going in our business. It just kind of hit me a few weeks ago when I started thinking about each part of the process of doing this kind of service for our clients. It kind of lines up with a lot of the things that I have strengths in or perhaps have skills in and that I've developed throughout the years. So doing business process improvement, having a tech background, I was a former IT manager and IT director. I have always been kind of a tech nerd or a geek at heart. You can ask Mike and other people who know me. I just love systems and computers and have taught myself a ton of stuff over the years. The innovation side of this, of having teams with a mindset toward innovation to be able to innovate their processes and the way they do things, that's in my background too. So it just feels like there's a lot of the pieces and parts of this that really line up with who I am and what I love to do for people and how I love to work. So that was really validating. The second thing that has happened over the last couple of weeks is I started doing some trial balloons with some folks that I know, organizations or leaders of organizations, a couple of former clients, and really started putting this idea to them that, hey, if I started to do this, or if I wanted to get into this, or could I do some free work for you, a free project just to get some experience and get a testimonial? And I was really hoping within a month or so that I would find maybe 2 or 3 people willing to do it. I found 4 in the first week of putting feelers out there. We're going to go ahead and do work with 3 of those. The fourth one, I'm not sure. We're supposed to have another conversation this week. There are a variety of organizations, and so I think that'll be good for us, is to get some experience in different types of organizations, types of processes. And it was just amazing to me how fast people grasped this idea and what the need is. And then all of the talk about AI, not knowing where to start, not knowing what their strategy is or how this fits with their business, all of those messages just seem to resonate with people very, very quickly. And so I'm starting my first one this week. Got a meeting set up for Thursday, and we'll kick the process off. Have two more coming in right behind that. They'll start here in the next 2-3 weeks. That was also validating, just to hear people say, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I get this, and I would love your help. And I just think this is one more validation of the fact that people need this kind of service, and I really believe that we can provide that for them. So what will this new process look like that we're doing with our clients? And the first few of these being free services just to get us started. We're calling it the Process First Sprint, and it really is a 60-day project just to get in there very quickly and get some quick wins for people around a core process for their business or their organization. We're just going to use the 4Ds. We know the 4Ds work with innovation or process improvement or continuous improvement or designing a training program, a coaching program for a client. We know it works, so we're just going to use that. We're just going to use our methodology. So what's that framework look like? It's the 4Ds. That's why our name is D4 Concepts. The first one is define. You just have to get in there and define the scope of what it is you're going to tackle. Let's define the scope of the process, the scope of the project. Let's not bite off more than we can chew. Let's really define it according to what we're going to do, how much work we're going to do, what the process start and end point is. The second thing, the second D, is to discover. We'll just go in and do some discovery work. This looks like, in our case, we love doing a kind of an open-ended workshop. Let's just start asking some questions. Let's put some ideas on sticky notes, put sticky notes for every step of the process. Then we can go back and start to add things like, who does this part of the process? How long does it take? And what systems do you use? All those kinds of things. So that's discovery. Just get in there and discover what's going on. The third part, the third D, will be design work. That is, we start to redesign the process. We start to look for areas of improvement or ways that we can cut out waste or cut down wait times, or perhaps assign that part of the process to the right person. And in this case, we'll actually be looking for places where people can automate, where they can introduce AI or set up an agent or do some sort of training with their staff to use AI at this point in the process in order to increase the results, to save time, to gain efficiencies, to have better quality work. So whatever the objective is, we'll design that into the process. The last part, the fourth D, is deliver. So that's where we deliver a project plan to the client, and we actually deliver on the services that they want us to deliver. In some cases, that may be some sort of tech implementation. It could be introducing them to a new tool. It could be just teaching them how to use the tools. They may already have access to them, but we want to teach them how to use them and how to use them well, how to write good prompts, how to get the best output from it, how to create custom GPTs, how to create repeatable processes. Like all of these kinds of things that we'll be introducing into that process. We've already started doing it for ourselves. I don't know if you can see or not, but on the table behind me, we still have the process in place. We have documented that, cleaned that up, and made a really good diagram for the very first process. And I'll put that here on the screen. You can take a look at that. This is a process. One of the first ones we came up with for ourselves is referrals. When we get referrals, how do we follow up with them? How do we get them into our CRM? How do we send reminders to those folks? How do they go into our sales process? You'll see all of that in that diagram. This is just a simple flow chart with a few notes in there for us and for our team. This is the kind of thing that we'll do for these first few clients and for clients after that, just to help them understand the process, but then from there start to really dig in and design a new process or design in the places where AI can help the most. That's what we're excited about. Seems like some validation already in the first couple of weeks in this journey, and don't know where it's going to go from here, but I'm excited about doing the first round of work and helping out some folks, some clients for free. I think that'll be a lot of fun, and I personally know each one of the folks I'm working with, so I think that'll be great too. And then just learn from there and then start to roll it out to more people. So we're excited about that. That's kind of the next step in our journey. Let's just get out there and do some work. It doesn't have to be perfect, and we'll learn from it. The client will learn from it, and hope to get some good testimonials along the way and roll that into our marketing as we roll this out to the rest of the public over the next few weeks and months. Stay tuned. more on the AI journey is coming your way, and I'll just keep you up to date as I go.